Thank you so much. And now I would love to invite you, Ayya Santacitta, to tell us about how your Earth Room project is going and developing.
Um, so some of you know me from before. I come to visit Ken more regularly, when I'm on the East Coast or traveling from Europe back to the West Coast. And yeah, I have been, very felt very called to do some kind of project, which speaks more directly and focusedly to the crisis, we are in. I don't think, that the planet is in a crisis, but I think we human beings, we are in a crisis. Our species is in a crisis because we have, developed ways of living on this planet which are not no longer sustainable, and it's becoming clearer and clearer to us as the universe or the planet or reality is speaking to us, in no uncertain terms about the fact, that we can't go on like this. And it's not because we are bad, but just simply because of ignorance, as the prayer we are mentioning, we are just really caught in ignorance, and we are waking up now because of the feedback which we receive. And the point is, I feel to train ourselves to the degree that we can really take that feedback in and then respond in a way, which is going towards fitting in, taking our true place in the whole scheme of things, which is actually not a position of mastery or that we are directing all of this, but we need to fit in, we need to do our part. And I don't know if you've, yesterday evening, before night, before I went to bed, I looked at the news, and I've seen, there's a huge fish dying in New South Wales, in Australia, and like millions of fish have died in a river which is called the Darling River. And they had lots of floods, and then the flood water was receding very quickly and followed by a heat wave, and that diminished the oxygen in the water of this particular river, Darling River of all names, and millions of fish have suffocated. They're completely start rotting now, and there is like a town nearby. The town is called Menindee, and they've had it in the past, but this is like the biggest one they ever had. And if you've seen the footage, it looks like really, really, it drives it really home, what's happening, and it is really shocking. So, to find a way to take in this information and not get stuck like in a frozen trauma response, but to work with it, with the tools we have got already through our practice.
Hold on one second. People are having difficulty hearing you.
Really?
Um, so can you speak a little louder?
Sure. Maybe I just also put it a little over.
Yeah.
Like that. Can you hear me now better? Annie? Okay. So maybe I just shortly said it again. Maybe you have a look afterwards. I saw yesterday footage from this huge fish dying in Menindee in New South Wales in Australia. And it's just such a powerful mirror, for the fact, that we got quite a few things lined up the completely wrong way, but not because we are bad, but simply because of ignorance. And how important it is to have this understanding, which the Buddhist teaching and also other spiritual teachings bring to us, that we are not really taking on, the position within the whole scheme of things. We are just getting things like really wrong in the sense that we feel we need to master.
Please keep raising your voice.
We need to master what's going on the planet, but the fact is, no, we need to learn to find our place. We need to fit in, and it's a crisis of humility, I think, it's not a crisis of the planet, but it's a crisis of humility of the species, we are part of, Homo sapiens, as we are called. And, we have these very powerful bodies and minds, which we have received from our ancestors, which have been developed over billions of years. And through the practices, we can actually fine-tune the equipment we already have. And through this fine-tuning, we can be more connected. And then through this sense of connection, we can respond rather than react. And when I see an image like that, of the fish, the millions of fish floating on the surface of that river, that gives me such a sense of urgency. So, to use what's happening as a means, to spur us on the path, I think that's the best thing we can do with what's happening right now. And I just would like, to share a guided meditation with you, which can help us, I feel, to find, a place within the whole scheme of things and what's happening right now, from which we can have a sense of, connectedness, and also, to have a sense of that we do have a role to play in all of this. It's not too late. It's not about, feeling bad about ourselves, but it's about kind of realizing that we do have what it takes, to open up to what's happening, and we are part of this whole vast process. So, find a posture you can sustain for like maybe 15-20 minutes. And check in with yourself, how you feel right now, when you hear this. Because it could also happen here, in our areas. And it will, and it just hasn't happened yet. So how does it feel, in the body? Take a screenshot of present moment experience. And allow the breathing to kind of connect you with your body. And allow, your nervous system to guide you to, connect with the ground. And also noticing, how is this for you? Is it easy, or is it, do you feel disconnected? Whatever it is, just noticing, not pushing, respecting whatever is happening. You feel the gravity which is pulling us, towards the earth, the soil. There's a lot of earth element in the body, water element, fire, wind, space, just the same as the planet. Our bodies are actually pieces of land, walking, moving, breathing, in constant exchange with the bigger biosphere. and the soil underneath our feet or underneath, you know, the house which we are in right now. That soil connects us with our ancestry, human ancestry and animal ancestry, plants, minerals, liquids. There's a vast root system which we can become aware of if we are, you know, training our mind in this way and our bodies. The whole, you know, nervous system is capable of sensing that rootedness. And through the sensing of the rootedness, we can also participate in the data which are becoming available if we, you know, come online, so to say. If we train ourselves just simply through intention to open up in that way. That's a capacity we can really switch that on if we are consciously training ourselves. You know, just like all other methods of meditation you have learned over the years, you know, and the visualization practices and all of that, you know, we can besides, you know, visualizing maybe the refuge tree of our particular lineage, we can also go beyond that and visualize the refuge tree as kind of the tradition of living. All his ancestors, not just human. And just opening up to much vaster vistas of intelligence and resilience, you know, which is passed down to us over billions of years. Starting with the most simple life forms, you know, and then through trial and tribulations, you know, we have come to where we are right now, and it doesn't stop here. We are not on the pinnacle of evolution, we are just one little piece. And we can be the bridge, you know, for the next generations to come. And that's what our situation is right now, that we are standing on a very particular threshold, you know, where we are noticing that the way how we are living on a material level here on this planet, that is not, cannot continue. And you know, those thresholds, they have been crossed many times in our evolutionary past, many times, you know, when fish came on land and started to develop limbs, when apes came down from the trees and started to walk upright. There were huge learning curves which has been taken by life. And now we are at another one, and we need to say yes to that. And we need to train our already existing capacities, you know, to come online and to open up and to be used, you know, for transforming and developing new answers. And I think it's a very exciting situation in a way, you know, even it's also scary. And, you know, excitement and anxiety, I mean, they can be very close together. It just depends, you know, how we are couching all of this. On one level it's a loss, on the other level it's a gain, you know, like you never really know what is it. It depends how you're looking at it. So I'm noticing, how you feel or how I feel if I couch the whole situation in terms of an evolutionary threshold and the vast root system of ancestors I am a part of, and I can respond to the calling of accepting that. Rather than trying to turn away or deny or distract myself. If I just say yes, that's what it is. I'm giving myself to this. And inviting emergence, inviting information to come through me or through us as a group, offering that body and mind to be a vessel. In the Bodhisattva vow, I think, speaks about that. It's a different language, but it's the same direction. Making oneself available for the tradition of living for the next generations. And knowing, that we are deeply rooted through all of the generations who went before us. As a Bodhisattva vow speaks also about the, countless mother sentient beings. Yeah, this is really true. I'm embedded in an amazing web of intelligence that is much, much more than human. And I can develop the capacity to sense that. Through the power of intention. And we can, through that root power, we can connect to the wisdom, which is already there. But because, we have trained ourselves as with the perception of being separate, this is what, is the important work to do, to decondition that sense of separation. There's the insight into emptiness, really, which is washing away that compulsion of living from that perception of being separate. And that's like an ongoing practice, coming back to that again and again, and allowing it, to wash it out like a big stain, in a cloth. When you wash it only once, it's not gonna go away immediately. But then insight into emptiness, it needs to kind of be repeated. And meditation practice is the tool kit, which helps us to wash away that huge stain of misperception. That insight into emptiness being the central insight in the Buddha's teaching. From the very beginning, the early Buddhism to all of the different tradition which have developed over the centuries, that insight is central, and that was a new teaching which the Buddha brought. In the beginning it was called anatta, or not self, and then has been developed into emptiness, prajnaparamita. The knowing, that we are not separate entities but processes. And as we engage the practice in this way, the path opens up and brings us to ever more conducive circumstances to live and act from that place. As some of those misperceptions drop away, the path opens up wider and wider. And that's a service to ourselves as well as to future generations. Sitting in our seat with all of the ancestors behind us, connecting us, rooting us deeply into this process, and the future generations in front of us. And just like we have received from other beings, we can pass that on. And it's a great service. At the same time, it gives us a sense of fulfillment, which we need in order to keep going. A sense of connection, and knowing that it makes a difference if we are consciously training ourselves to participate and showing interest, being willing to be with the discomfort of not knowing exactly how it's going to be. But making ourselves available. And one of my teachers called that earthworm practice, like a worm in the earth who doesn't really know where he or she is going, but just being with what is right now and opening to that, and having a sense of dedication and constancy, perseverance. And taking heart by knowing that this process, this vast intelligence, which we call Dharma, Kaya, probably in your tradition, and can be called many other ways as well, to just make ourselves available and know, that you're not alone with this. Okay, we can maybe slowly open our eyes, and then taking in the whole community here at this call, seeing there's many others here, and there's many other groups out there in cyberspace, who are doing this work. And that's how evolution happens, that more and more people are noticing the need and saying yes, from a sense of rootedness in life, and also knowing that we do have a practice which is totally up to this job. Just need to remember it's just not like only a private undertaking our practice, but it's a service, to the whole of life. And once that's really kind of integrated more and more through remembering it, it gives us like a different sense of connectedness, which is very strengthening, I think. And this project of the Earth Room is in particular dedicated to that, And I'm just gonna start with the opening in around International Earth Day in April, and I'll see, how it will be received by others, and I hope it will be, and I think over the months and years to come, I think it's a way where I'm not only using speaking, not only using words, but using the power of visual arts also as a support for the mind and for the heart to feel a sense of connectedness and a sense of what is the right word here? Yeah, that this is really the most important consideration at this point, I think, for us as human beings, in order to keep on growing. That truth of, as Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese master who just died last year, I think, what he called interbeing, that we are not separate, and that these bodies of ours are pieces of planet, really. And intellectually it's pretty kind of easy, to speak in this way, but to really live from that way, that's a different thing altogether. So there needs to be a lot of inner work needs to be done to really integrate it so it becomes a way of experiencing ourselves, sensing ourselves as this. And whatever it takes to develop that integration is a good thing, I think. And the Aloka Earth Room is just a small contribution in that direction. And and just using whatever we have at hand, to make it possible. And I remember in particular one of the suttas, in the early ways how the Buddha was speaking when he was still walking this planet. There's the sutta of the raft. The raft is not just like a huge elegant ship, but he speaks about taking twigs and how do one call those twines? Twigs and twines, which we find on the bank of the river, and just putting them all into some kind of a bundle, and then with hand and feet, paddling over to the other shore. Doesn't need to be the most elegant vehicle, but just with whatever we have got, and just paddling with hand and feet, and then we're gonna get there. And that's good enough, And if it's a more elegant vehicle, okay, enjoy it. But if it's not, then just do whatever you can. And I think that's all I'd like to share today.
Would you like to show the pictures?
Oh yeah, and I have a few pictures if you like to see of the Earth Room. it's not finished yet, because I still have a month to go, but this gives you a sense of it. Those pedestals will have a Prajna Paramita statue on the left, which is still in the garage, but it's gonna come out. And then the Buddha, of course. And then the smaller pedestal will be for offerings. And then the walls of the room are painted with those um, eyes. I call them eyes. Show you another photo. Do you see the other photo now? Did that change for
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Did? Right. And then, and this is the guardian in the corner of the room. That is an image from an English artist who worked with Aborigines in Australia with the Valkyrie. So he made those photos and then the Valkyrie painted over it. And for me, that guardian depicts emptiness, the coming together of the elements and then the dispersing again. And those shapes on the wall. This is clay paint made locally, and the shapes, the yellow shapes, are the half-closed eyes of a Buddha, or maybe they are boats, setting us over to the other shore, or wings, or maybe the constellations. So I want to, kind of communicate the sense of a cave, but at the same time, like opening up to the whole space and the constellations, and looking out and being also seen. This was a nun visiting me last month. So yeah, that's the idea, and just like Tibetan Gompa, is like full with images in order to inspire and uplift the mind and the heart. There are often images of the lineage, of the teachers who have gone before us to give us a sense of ancestry. So the Aloka Earth Room is also like filled, with images, but in a different way, where I hope that this imagery will help us to connect more to the earth herself, rather than to a lineage of powerful men, because I kind of feel it's time to move on a bit and try to find a different way, which is more like a real individual connection with that which is much vaster than ourselves, and no longer trying to go through masters so much, in this relentless way, but also open up different capacities in ourselves. In particular, as women, I think we need to wake up, to our own power. And that's just like a little experiment, and I keep you posted through Canva how it goes. Thank you.
So maybe now we might have questions or reflections. So you can use the reaction button, or you can raise your hand. Thoughts or reflections, questions? Nancy.
Thank you so much for bringing this to us. My experience of the room was something like when you're out west, maybe, and the whole sky is filled with stars, except it was on a very fine level. I felt it was a real window out of the Earth's density. It was very opening and full of possibility, an experience of a great lifting and lightness, and the possibility of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's exactly what I hoped, it would communicate. So I feel very glad hearing what you said. Thank you. Because as I said, it's an experience. I don't know myself exactly what I'm doing, but I just go step by step as it becomes available. Yeah.
Annie, you have a question or reflection?
Oh, I just wanted to comment. I had the same reaction, and the room, the walls reminded me of stars or constellations, but also ancestors and how we're made of stars in some way and the connections. And it looked so peaceful and inspiring to me. I just felt like it's an amazing space that you've created. And yeah, it looks really inspiring. And I wondered if people will go in there and meditate, or, it seemed like there's a variety of things that it could be used for.
Yes, yes, and yeah, meditation will be definitely one thing which is gonna happen in there. So I'm so glad, that because this is the first time that I have a, let's say, public showing, because, yeah, so thank you.
Charlie?
Thank you so much for that. The the eyes, I think you were thinking, reminded me of, just made me think of canoes which carry us off into the cosmos.
Yeah.
And so nice to think of us evolving on.
Thank you, Charlie.
Kathy? I think you're muted, yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Yes, thank you for bringing this to us and sharing your time in the guided meditation, which was really lovely. Since others shared, I'll share. I also thought about pea pods,
Yeah.
and as that came to mind, and their generativity. I'm among many things in what you shared. I'm interested in what you shared toward the end about the lineage of men and and female practitioners and this attention to earth. And I wondered if you could speak a little bit more about that and how that reality figures in your work.
I mean, just like him, I was also trained in a lineage of powerful men, which isn't a bad thing or anything, but it's just, I feel, that this um, the whole patriarchal approach is really hitting the wall, because all of the systems which are currently operating, or most of the systems, is part of that approach, of having a powerful man on the top of the pyramid who is, telling everybody else what to do. And I think maybe this is just too narrow. I know it's just not. I think it was a very useful evolutionary stepping stone, but now it has shown it's no longer up to the job, and it needs to, it needs to be updated simply, and it has always been that way, and now, it's the whole what's going on in the world, like when I was just speaking about the fish in they why they are dying, this is like a coming together of so many causes and conditions, which a mind which is only trained in linear thinking cannot accommodate, so that the approach is no longer up to the job. and it just needs to be acknowledged, I feel, and the sense of mastery, which is part and parcel of the patriarchal approach, that the masters basically direct everything. And technology, was the way how we were going, thinking we can solve everything through science and technology. And just simply think, no, it's not working that way. And to see it not as a personal failure or a bad thing, but just see things change. Also, the whole world views change. Not only little things inside, but we need to see that the whole world view itself needs an update. And why not? I mean, it has happened many times before. Imagine how much must have been when apes, started to come down from the trees and were walking upright. What a challenge was that! They had to completely leave a whole world behind. And I feel like that's what we need to do too. We cannot be on top and direct what's going on the planet. We need to take our true position, which is like being a little part of a much bigger process. And that's what I mean, when I said what I said before.
So there are two more questions that I want to get to also. Kathy Breen. You're muted, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that beautiful meditation and the creation of the room. What I really enjoyed, so your meditations that bring all the elements, recognizing them inside ourselves and on the planet, and those connect us. I was really struck with how you worked with what is local, so the local wisdom in the protector, that image of the protector, and the materials that came in, the clay paint and so on. And it just again, on a bigger scale other than our own bodies, how we're all connected, and that room just communicates that just so directly, I think. So anyway, thank you very much for all your work.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And exactly that's what I also wanted to actually emphasize or use, that direct communication, which doesn't need to go through the brain, but it goes through the senses by, for example, the eyes, which are very powerful sense. So we can make it easier, we don't have to do it all like we can actually use other avenues of communication and participation. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So beautiful.
Thank you.
And Shanti?
Thank you so much. And my reflection is a little different. First, I know like we all had audio issues at the beginning. I think if you unmute yourself and if Kenmo mutes, then the audio will be better, because I think now we are picking up Venerable Anya's voice through Venerable Kenmo's computer. So
We have a conference microphone.
yeah, it seems like it's only one directional. So
We'll work on
yeah.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So so I was actually feeling that like there's a slight at the beginning with the audio issues, like there was this slight uncomfortability, like my eyes was doing the job that my ears are supposed to do. So, and also my mind was like, oh, I need to, like, maybe I can fix it by telling this and send a message, and I did. So I was actually, so then I started resting with that feeling. It's like this feeling of uneasiness, like how to fix it. Like, yeah. So I think it's a situation in the mind. Like, oh, we can fix it. I have experience in audio engineering. Maybe I can fix it. Like that feeling. So that was like so during that meditation, like when we were scanning the body, I was trying to rest with that feeling, like how can I rest with that uneasy feeling? So that was my reflection. Yeah, thank you.
You know, and Ashanti, that you can take into your life, you know. Those situations will come up all the time, and that's what the meditation is really all about. You know, how can I, not how can I create a different experience, but how can I be with what is, and then from that, sometimes we can do something, and sometimes there's nothing which can be done, and that's okay too, you know. Thank you for sharing.
So, Ashanti, I'll ask you to stay on after we close today to see if we can create a better sound system. We have time, I think, for one more question before the dedication prayers, or one more reflection. Charlie.
Sorry for speaking twice, but I'd like to offer in another group, we have a dedication in which we take refuge in Gaia. And came up with this concept of perhaps evolving, maybe parallel with Vajrayana through a Gaia Yoni Yana, which would be a practice of transformation through the womb of nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading actually a book about all of this, and it's a total possibility. I think that those ways of thinking about practice will evolve, as we go forward. Yeah.
Well, it's not only that it's evolving, it was always there and we didn't see it. So some of the translation of Prajnaparamita is one of the definitions of the syllable is womb. So it has been present all along. Okay, I'm going to pull up the dedication prayers now.
But what I mean is, to be more vocal about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it has been totally suppressed.
Well, in our era, no one has pointed it out. At the time,
And if
people understood it. Yeah.
And in particular, because I'm just sitting here in the room, if you look at the refuge tree, it's like, it's not a yoni, it's a phallus, right? So the whole way of looking and thinking and depicting, that's, because it is really powerful, that can usher us into a new way of being in the world, yeah? And that's what's needed.
Well, and I think we don't understand how much we're taking in through our other senses. Mm-hmm. So we're deeply affected by how the imagery is presented, yes. And we're partially understanding parts of it, and we're not seeing ourselves reflected from other parts of it. So there's a whole combination of sensory input.
Yeah. And the Vajrayana in particular, who makes such great use, of art. I don't think there's any other school in Buddhism, who does do that so fully as the Vajrayana does, yeah. Because they have understood very well how powerful it is. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to our dedication. And Kathy, if you'd continue.
By this virtue, may I achieve omniscience, and may all who travel on the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you are one with Avalokiteshvara. May you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one, seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye. May you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings. May you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. The one known in the Holy Land as Arya Deva, emanated in the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Dingtam Sumgun. May the life of glorious Garchin remain steadfast for 1,000 eons. We acknowledge that Vajradakini nunnery is on the traditional unceded land of the Wabanaki Confederacy, the stewards of this land for many centuries before European settlement. We honor all Indigenous peoples' beliefs, cultural heritage, their relationship with the land, the knowledge of their elders, and the spirit of the ancient ones. This recognition of Indigenous territorial land and beliefs is a small step along the long road of recognizing the truth of our shared history and moving towards reconciliation. We will continue this journey with our Indigenous neighbors as we weave our paths together in right relation.
Thank you so much. Just a note for those folks who are from Maine or anybody who would like to learn more about the Wabanaki Confederacy, this week the chiefs of each of the 5 tribes in that confederacy addressed the Maine state legislature, a combined house in the Maine state legislature, and that you can find that on YouTube. So it was a wonderful presentation of their perspectives of the state of their tribes at this moment. So thank you so much, Ayya Santacitta, for all of your work and for your emerging Dharma understanding expressed as the Earth Room, which I know is going to be a big success.
Thank you.
And so I'd like to close the meeting, but Ashanti, I'm going to invite you to stay on with Ayya Santacitta and I to see if we can solve any sound problems before tomorrow. So I'll invite everyone else to leave the meeting and we'll work on the sound a little bit. We did test the microphone, but who knows what.
And I speak pretty loud anyway, so.
Thank